Yesterday we started working on the mental math for the entire class period. It was the first day that we did that. We're talking about only two main strategies for addition today. And I want you to think of them separately. Because one thing we talked about yesterday was how you will probably latch on to one strategy that you use the most. But what I don't want you to make the mistake of doing is to think you have it all figured out right from the start. A lot of kids will get one strategy that works and then they close their mind off to other strategies. So I want you to try both out today. The first one, and I just want you to look instead of write anything down. The first one is that idea of like a scale that we talked about, where to make this addition question easier to work with, here, you can make 19 into 20. So you would take 1 away from the 36 and add it back to the 19, and then all of a sudden this becomes 35 plus 20, which is much easier to work with inside your head. And then of course just adding 20 to 35 would be 45, 55, so the answer would equal 55. That's what I want you to try out on your scrap paper right now for numbers 2, 3, 4, and 5. But before you get started, remember, you're taking something away from one of the numbers, but it's like a scale. You have to keep it balanced. You have to add that back to the other. And I'll get you started. So for number 2, 46 plus 29, 29 is what we're going to make easier. So we have to take 1 away from the 46 and add it back to the 29. Does that strategy make sense? So now you just need the time to practice, and I'm going to come around and check on you in your math groups here. We'll go over all 5 of them in a couple minutes. I don't really think it's going to take you too long. But in the end, I do want the answers to all 5 of those questions on the left side. You do the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 only, please. Yes. Taking 46 plus 29. Remember, we're making 29 easier to work with. We take 1 away from 46 and add it back to the 29. And now all of a sudden it's 45 plus 30, which is much easier to do in your head. Does that make sense? Correct. Correct. Remember, guys, you have to show me what's inside your head. You can't just put an answer. You have to show what I showed up there. Show me the thinking that would have taken place in your head. Well, I want you to just get it set up and started. Yeah, whatever you have to do. As long as you understand it, how it's organized, that's fine with me. Well, let's go over a couple of them. Let's take a quick time out, guys. I see just a little bit of confusion. I see people doing the strategy that I wanted you to do on the right side, where you first do the 10s and then do the ones and then put them together. That's not what we're doing here. So look up here, please, guys. This is a good strategy. I want you to try it out. For number 2, you have 46 plus 29, and what you needed to do was take 1 from the 46 and put it back into the 29, so it became 45 plus 30, and then that's much easier to do. Because adding 30 to 45, you just keep adding the 10s. 55, 65, 75 would be the 30 you added, so the answer would be 75. That's the strategy you need to use. And so I'm going to set up 3, 4, and 5 for you if you feel like you need that. If you know what you're doing, just keep on going. But number 3, we would be turning 28 into 30. So I would take 2 from 37, I'd add it back to 28. Number 4, I would take 1 from 34, and I would take it and move it over to 39. So now all of a sudden I turn 39 into 40. Now that number is much easier to work with. For number 5, I would take 2 from 67. I would add it back to 28. That's the strategy. Make sure that's what you're writing down and showing me. And if you're all done, raise your hand. You can get started on the reteach side of the worksheet while you wait. We'll talk about that one.